Oftentimes, people associate DUIs or driving under the influence charges with only alcohol. But did you know in California, you can also be charged with driving under the influence of drugs? It's a separate code section under Vehicle Code 23152, but it deals specifically with drugs and having drugs in your system. Now, what happens with a drug DUI is it's much more complicated than a standard alcohol DUI. The reason for that is that in California, as well as other 50 states, there is a legal limit for alcohol. However, for drugs, there isn't a legal limit for how much meth or cocaine or any kind of drug that you have in your system, meaning that if they test your blood and it comes back with a certain result, that result is not like the point zero 0.08 per se statute. It's just you have drugs in your system. There's not a limit of if you have this amount, you're under the influence. If you have over this amount, you're over the influence. It doesn't make sense in the same way. It's just simply you had drugs in your system. The benefit to that is that you could potentially get experts and doctors who can contradict that, saying that, well, the amount you had in your system did not make you under the influence of drugs. And they can explain that with statistics, with books, with any research they have to explain whatever was in your system was not something that put you to that level. Now, another part of this as well is that if you get arrested for a DUI with drugs, there are additional tests that officers do. It's called ARIDE, ARIDE. It's a specific kind of testing that officers do to try and determine what drug you may have in your system. Now, it's not something to where a person who's certified as an ARIDE officer is able to come to court as an expert or a doctor and tell you the intoxication levels. It's just a means of trying to look to see if you're under the influence of something other than alcohol, instead drugs. I've done the same certification as well. Again, it's relatively flimsy in comparison to an alcohol DUI, but you can still get arrested for a DUI with drugs if you have an ARIDE expert who says that, well, based on their eyes, based on how they're talking, based on what's on their tongue, that you're likely under the influence of some kind of drug, but they can't just from looking at you tell you what it is.